Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello guys, we are from group 10. We will explain about sociolinguistics. Before that, let me introduce my team. I'm Salsabila Nasfa, my student ID 2001803.
I am Mona Lisa, student's ID 2001X076.
I am Revanzal Tamirano, student's ID 218, 14, and 3.
Okay guys, let's jump to our explanation. The first part will explain by Revanza Altamirano. To Revanza, the time is yours.
What is sociolinguistics? Sociolinguistics is a study of how language and social factors, such as ethnicity, social class, age, gender, and educational level, are related. Regional dialect. A language or speech community as a group of people who live, work, socialize, and communicate with one another. The such unique characteristics of their speech are called a dialect. Semantic variation. Word choice is probably the single most important indicator of formality or situational dialect. Phonological variation. Phonological is the sound system in language, and variants of course differ in the way their sound system are organized. Morphological variation. Morphological variation has to do with differences in word internal structure.
Next explanation by Mona Lisa. To Mona Lisa, the time is yours.
African American English. African American English is one of several names for the varieties of English used in the African American community. Let's see the difference between Standard American English and African American English. Phonological difference. Some of the varieties of African American English are among the many varieties of English that have a rule for R and A deletions. Both Standard American English and African American English have a consonant cluster reduction rule that allows the reduction of the final consonant cluster to a single consonant before another word that begins in a consonant. For example, we say lake in Standard American English, but in African American English we say love. And second example, we say time in Standard American English and time in African American English. Morphological difference. Many of difference between Standard American English and African American English can be traced up to grammatical features of the African language that Africans have incorporate into their new language. Two of the most prominent of these features are verb deletion and verb aspect. For example, in Standard American English, he is a great guy, but in African American English, he a great guy. And second example, in Standard American English, they are busy, but in African American English, they busy. Syntactic difference. Standard American English sentence about the existence of something are introduced by the word there is or there are. In this case, African American English sentence use the word it's or is.
Got in front of the White House there, in the back of that woods, way back there. It's deep back there. Which they had logged some of it out, but back on the woods where we hunt bears. Usually me and dog would go out there and mow the field paths so they can see them real good. So it's $500 just to go and $500 to kill one. So it's very expensive shooting bears. We'll swing by there and show them we mills on the way back through. Let's swing up to this.
Hispanic English. Hispanic English is a general term to describe the many varieties of English spoken by Americans of Hispanic descent. From the example, let's see these videos.
Showy. Showy. Squirrel. Quiet. Quiet. ¿Cómo es?
Skyris. Skyris. Skyris.
No.
Squire. Pues Squirrel no es. Squire. Algo así. No sé.
Squirt. Squirt. No me gusta. Literature. 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 Literature.
Contact language, Pidgin and Creole. Pidgin language are simplified language developed for use in specific interactions, such as business, service, and trade. They develop when people who had no common language come into contact. Some examples from various Pidgin languages are dog baby or puppy and cow pig or sow. A Creole language is created when a Pidgin language is passed on to the next generations and become the first language of a community.
I will explain about situational dialects or registers. Registers are styles of speech that are appropriate to the situation, the level of formality, and the person being spoken to. Morphological variation. Example, formal, you should have, becomes informal, you should have, becomes more informal, you should. I could have, becomes, I could have, becomes, I coulda. He would have, becomes, he would have, becomes, he woulda. Syntactic variation. One grammatical indicator of the informal register is the placement of a preposition at the end of a sentence. Sentences ending in a preposition are common in formal, everyday speech. Where are you going to be at? Who should I send it to? If they were written or spoken in a more formal register, they would be, where are you going to be? To whom should I send it? Semantic variation. Slang words are newly coined words or those that have never been completely accepted in formal speech. Taboo words are slang words that have cultural rules restricting their use. Some of these are for bodily function and body parts. Expletives are other taboo words that express affective meaning. Jargon is the in-group expressions of a profession, sport, hobby, or field of expertise. Gender and language. Sex is the biological aspect of being male or female. Gender, on the other hand, is the learned complex of masculine or feminine behaviors as defined by culture. As males and females are learning the way that their culture expects them to behave. First as boys and girls, and then as men and women. They also learn the correct way to use their language. For example, Mr. Sujisi or Mrs. Sujisi. Polite, men say Sujisi-san, women say Sujisi-san. Familiar, Mr. Sujisi or Mrs. Sujisi. Men say Sujisi-kun, women say Sujisi-san. Gender difference in English. There is a similar difference in the language of men and women in English. Both men and women use the same lexicon and syntax. They use the same formal and informal, polite, and indirect speech. Okay everyone, I think that's all from our group. Thank you for your attention. Sorry for our mistakes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.